Welcome to Mindset Talks podcast. It's your girls, Cassie
and Amanda.
And we are here to share our mindsets,
elevate yours, and have some fun while achieving better versions of ourselves.
Hey. I really think we got to get these intros together.
It's natural. I like it. I like natural.
That is true. Scripted is not the way to go, ever.
Yeah, no. I mean, our intro to the show is scripted, but that's a different story.
Well, yes, that's true. But,
you can't script every episode,
No, that wouldn't be any fun at all.
No. So, let's get into this, though, because I feel like today what we're going to be speaking on really has my interest peaked. And
oh boy,
I don't know. I feel like things could get really real, and just our audience is really kind of gonna feel a little. I feel like they're gonna feel a little more of what we're feeling. If that makes sense.
It does. It does. It does. And it makes me a little nervous because I know you're about to come right at me.
Wow. Wow. Okay, so let's just jump on into it. So
I didn't mean to fuel a fire here.
Goodness. I'm just trying to be a supportive friend.
You always are, and it's always appreciated.
All right, so let's talk about this because I just want to. I think this is something good, so go.
All right. So basically, what Amanda is alluding to is this lovely conversation that I had with my mom today. She has been staying at her girlfriend's house this weekend, because she has cancer. She has bone cancer, and it's spread throughout her entire body. And she's just kind of at that state to where she can't really do anything for herself, and so someone kind of needs to be watching her around the clock. And she's not really comfortable, I guess, yet with like calling in hospice and things like that. And so she's having like family and friends come and watch her. And so in order to give her family a break, my mom is being nice enough to stay with her for the weekend, which it's weird how things work out because this time last year, my mom was staying at her house when she broke her leg. So she took care of my...
I thought that was the same friend.
It is.
Wow. Yeah. Okay.
So, yeah. So she watched my mom when she needed it, and now my mom is there watching her. But, obviously it's a little harder because of the experience that we went through watching my dad go through, the end stages of life with cancer. And now she's kind of having to do it all over again. And I'm not really sure how, I mean, you have your good days and your bad days because it's obviously not going to be something easy to watch, such a good friend have to go through that, especially when you're still like dealing with your traumas from seeing somebody else go through that too.
Right.
So I know she's struggling with that a lot, but I was going to say for like whatever reason, but I guess it makes sense. It had her start going into this whole like conversation about my dad and everything that he had went through like towards like the end of things, and how everything kind of like took a turn for the worst when he needed a feeding tube put in place. He actually went to the hospital in Boston where I had him find like a throat cancer specialist out there. And I don't remember exactly. She mentioned it again today, but I kind of like blocked out part of it. But something was happening to my dad. He was like throwing up like his medicine and his food or something like that. And so she called the doctor in Boston to kind of like ask him like what to do. And he was like, "Oh, like get him out here as soon as you can. Like we'll get a bed for him. And we'll take care of him." And so my mom, instead of going to the local hospital, she drove him all the way to Boston, because this is the most recent doctor that he had been seeing and stuff like that. And because of me, really, I'm the one that found this doctor, and I feel like I'm kind of like really going into this a little more too in detail than I need to be. But
do what you feel is necessary.
Yeah. But basically, he went there to get the feeding tube in, and that was an entire nightmare. This is the same time I had talked about before, where he was awake for the entire procedure. And it was kind of ever since that experience in that moment, everything started to kind of like decline. And she just kept talking about it and going into like all of these details about like how he was in pain and suffering and how he had gotten these like bed sores in Boston and all this kind of stuff. And just hearing her like talk about everything, I don't really know why, I guess you can say, but like I kind of just like completely lost it and was like sobbing like hysterically while she was just sitting here like rambling for probably about like 10 minutes without me saying a word. Like
My
I
gosh.
wasn't saying anything. I was just listening to her talk, like wishing that she would just shut up and like stop talking about it.
Ease my mind, mom. Ease my mind.
Like what like so out of left field. Like where like I know you're, probably being reminded of this because like you're with your friend, but like I just totally took me for like a loop and I just wasn't ready about it. It's something that I've definitely put in the back of my mind. It's not something that I actively think about. It's not something I want to think about. And just hearing her talk about it and go into detail and stuff just kind of really made me like lose it. And after she got it all out of her system and she noticed I wasn't speaking, she was like, "Are you okay?" And I still didn't say anything.
Mm,
And she, obviously she's my mom, so she knows me and she knew that like I wasn't okay. And so she was like just telling me that like it's okay, like I have to like just let it out and like it's okay to cry and like all these kinds of things. And I'm just kind of still in my head, like just trying to like get my get my strength back and just like push all these feelings right back inside the little box that they just randomly came out of nowhere.
oh gosh.
Like trying to get myself together. And it was definitely a struggle trying to bottle everything back up inside of there.
That is a lot, especially when you're not expecting that conversation to come your way. Usually, you could kind of have a little like lead way that, you might get a little pulled into those types of conversations, but
Mhm.
to be pulled in that deep is hard because now you're kind of reliving what you didn't want to have to live through the first time.
Right, never.
But you know me,
Uh-oh.
and my question for you is
Uh,
I know some time has passed, but why are you not letting yourself be okay with those little jack in the box feelings to come out of the box
Good way to
rather
put it.
than you prefer to shove them in and keep them closed?
Yeah, that's just my comfort. Um, I guess because I feel more comfortable when I have them just inside of that little box. I don't know, and I guess I just feel like actually feeling it and, like, crying and just looking a hot mess, like, isn't going to really change anything. I don't think it's gonna make anything better, and I don't like people to hear or see me cry and be upset, so I just would kind of, like, rather not do. Especially I think a part of it too is I always feel like I have to be strong for everybody else, especially for my mom.
Hmm.
Um, so I don't know. That's just like my reaction is just to shove it all back inside.
It's funny you say that because hearing the story about how your mom is telling you it's okay to cry and she's being like the stronger one between the two of you in the moment
It's a little
felt a
weird.
little backwards. Yeah, it was
Mhm.
different than how I've known or how I've been used to things, between the two of you because you're right, you always are that shield, that armor, the protector of all, the mother hen, like you are making sure everyone else is good. But I felt like that was a good time to just let yourself go and let yourself be free because even your mom is being strong in the moment and saying, okay, we're switching roles for a minute. Let
Mhm.
me be the one who is more put together right now and able to speak the truth and speak through the pain. And it's okay for you to be sad. It makes me sad that you don't want to be sad sometimes because I get it. Like, I used to be called sensitive when I was younger,
Mm.
So ever since then, I'd be like, nah, fuck that. Ain't nobody gonna see me sad or upset or mad or like you're not gonna get any emotion out of me because I've been sensitive. So I'm not gonna let anything hurt my feelings.
Yeah.
And even to this day, like I consider that a flaw because even you, Nat, people who know me are like, yeah, we don't really get much emotion out of you.
I was just gonna say I've known you for how many years, and I think I might have seen you cry once, and I think it was only like one tear just like went down the side of your cheek, and like that was it.
But this is the stuff that we have to acknowledge and grow through. And, you know, yes, I'm still working on that. Like, you should be working on allowing yourself to be okay for those feelings to come out. I'm sure, you know, I'm honestly not comfortable with people seeing or hearing me cry or be upset either. But let me
Mhm.
tell you, when I came home and found Chewy no longer living, I
Yeah.
was on the phone sobbing with the nurse at the vet. Like
Mm.
I was hyperventilating. I was trying to pull myself together, and never have I ever, if we didn't hear me say
Aw.
it the first time, let myself be like that around anyone, even if it was just through the phone. I'm sure my neighbors heard me through the wall in here hollering because I was
Oh.
so upset.
Yeah.
But you feel like even though that pain is always going to be there to some extent,
Mm.
you feel better. You feel a release because then you're a little less choked up days later.
I guess. I mean, do you feel like part of it was easier for you because it wasn't somebody you really knew? Like if it was me or your cousin or something, do you think you would have had the same like release, I guess?
No, because I'm pretty sure I was still over here. Like I'm sure I was still tearing up when my cousins were here. I
Mm.
can't really remember because once they came, it was kind of like, all right, Mission Impossible. Let's get the dog. Let's wrap him up. Let's get him in the car. Like it was like go time
Yeah.
at that point. But
Gotcha.
I also had to wait for them to get here, so I, had plenty of time to release and allow myself to feel the way I needed to feel.
Mm.
But I, if they were to come sooner, I don't think I would have held myself back.
Gotcha. I hear
And
you.
it's because of even like after losing my mom, because I feel terrible to say it, but I feel like I didn't even cry that hard when I lost my mom. But
Yeah. Well, at least I didn't see you really at the funeral.
well, actually, you know what? I did lose it at the funeral because I remember I soaked up my sister's shoulder with my tears.
Oh.
Now that I think about it, I did cry there, but I was just all up in her shoulder, and she's bigger than me, so y'all probably didn't see me
I was gonna say you
because
probably did it just enough to let it out, and then you got yourself right back together as soon as you lift your head
yeah.
up.
Well, my family's funny too, so we were like my uncles were in there laughing, which is
That's
odd at a
true.
funeral, but
Yeah.
we different.
Yeah.
But
Well, you have to sometimes.
yeah. But I just think that like your turn of being so strong all the time, like you need to like pass that shit on for a moment just to allow yourself to feel how you're feeling because there's just nothing more refreshing than actually feeling your feelings even if they're not necessarily positive feelings all the time
Yeah. I don't
because
know.
you have jack in the box feelings probably because you just suppress it back in. So once that pressure comes, then it just, explodes. You
Mhm.
lose it. Then you're like, oh shit, they see me in real form. Let me push it back on in. Okay. And then we're good. Because I know you said, if you're not thinking about the situation when you're all alone, you're fine. So there's no reason to feel some type of way about it. But those little opportunities of when you're not alone and you're feeling those sad feelings is still a good opportunity to just let those feelings be what they are because it doesn't make you any less stronger.
Yeah, no, that's true. I mean, I don't think it's a sign of like weakness for me. I don't know. Maybe it's like just being scared or just like uncomfortable. I don't know.
Mhm.
Cause
Uncomfortable for sure. I
yeah,
bet.
cause like obviously I'm not afraid to cry in front of my mom. Like I've done it a
Mhm.
million times before.
Right.
And I'm not afraid to cry in front of other people. I feel like you have probably seen me cry like a million times. 'Cause I cry, like, all the time.
No, you don't. You don't cry that much, but but I'm sure you've cried in front of me way more than I've cried in front of you. I get it. Yeah.
Definitely, yeah. I mean, but even hearing you kind of, like, say that to me right now, you probably can't really tell, but, like, I do feel like my eyes are, like, trying to, like, water up a little bit, and I'm just like,
Yeah.
"No, no, no."
I can hear it. I know you enough to see, and I can tell. I can
Uh,
tell.
just I don't know. I mean, I guess it is. I feel like maybe I would have to have someone, like, force it out of me because my boyfriend says it to me all the time, like, "You're gonna have to, like, deal with this one day or else it really is just gonna, like, blow up in your face."
Yeah.
But, like, cause like, he knows he can't ask me questions or talk to me about it cause like, I just I'll get
Get
all
worked up.
teary-eyed and stuff like that, and then I'm just like, "Well, so what do you want for dinner?" Like, totally, like, change the subject, so I feel like for
Right.
me, I would need someone to, like, not literally, but, like, hold me down and, like,
Mhm.
force me to, like, go through the motions because when they're talking about it, like, in my mind, I'm like, "Okay, just, like, suck it up, put it back in there, and then, like, it'll be over soon," and then when they're done talking about it, like, that's just is what it is, and then I forget about it, and then, like you were saying, when I'm by myself, I'm not thinking about it, so
Mhm.
that's not gonna help me either. I'm not just gonna sit there and think about it to make myself cry, so
Right.
you know what I mean? So I don't know.
I'll have to get you off camera and just and try to
Mm.
help you rid of those avoidant tendencies so then
Yeah,
that way we can work through and then we can come back and say, "Hey, this is what we did and it works."
yeah, well, I don't know. We'll see about that one. Good luck to you. But that just had me have like a random thought too, and this makes me miss him even more. And I'm not talking about my dad, but I remember that one time. I don't remember really what it was even about, but when I cried in your house and Chewy ruined, well, not really ruined. He kind of made it better the entire mood because the minute I went in or you went in to hug me to like console me. He lost his fucking mind and started barking and, like, trying to pull us apart.
Yeah, he wasn't a big fan of hugging that didn't include him.
So I'm like, the one time I did try to let it go, he didn't let me.
He
So,
was like, "Oh hell no, biatch, not in my house. And if you gonna be hugging anybody, you better be hugging me."
I know, he
Yeah,
started barking out of nowhere. I remember we just, like, started busting out laughing, and I'm
yeah,
like, "Well,
it
way to
just
ruin
scared
the
the hell
moment."
out of us because
You
no
did.
one was expecting that. Oh my gosh,
Not at all. That shit was hilarious.
I literally had like over the past 24 hours really been just in a whole mood thinking about Chewy and like I don't know, I've just been super sad missing my dog, which
It's rough.
nothing nothing has
Oh,
happened
no
to
pun
trigger
intended.
me. Rough and rough.
Sorry.
I can't stand you.
I couldn't help myself. I'm sorry.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, you know what? I honestly think it's crazy because I look at these videos all the time on Facebook and Instagram, like the dog
Mhm.
videos, and I try to stop
Aw.
myself. And I think they just, depending on the video, they make the situation worse.
Aw.
And I just caught myself yesterday evening just scrolling through my phone and looking through pictures and just thinking about how like I miss petting him every day and
Mm.
I would always kiss his head because that's one place he couldn't lick.
Aw.
And I always kissed him on the head and told him I loved him and it's been it's been a little harder than I thought. Even like this week I've just started to adjust to leaving the house and not saying anything
Mm.
because every time I would leave, I would go to Chewy, I would kiss him on his head, I'd pet him, I'd tell him I love him. I would say, I love you, Tutu, have a good day, be a good boy. And I
Mm.
would leave the house. And it had me kind of fucked up last week and like at the
For
beginning of
sure.
this week because I'm like, I am about to walk out the door and I stop because I feel like I'm forgetting something.
Right, yeah, you gotta find, like, a new ritual or whatever to do.
And it really
Mhm.
has me messed up because I would even leave the radio on for him
Mm.
before I would leave. So I would make sure like my curtains are open anyways because my plants need sunlight. But I would turn the radio on for him obviously make sure his food and water is good, do the routine of petting him, telling him I love him, all
Mhm.
that stuff. Give him a little good little treat before I leave just because he's cute. And I get to the door and like every day I've stopped and just looked in my house and there's not a light on for him. There's no radio on. It's just dead ass quiet.
Yeah. Mm.
And I leave.
Yeah,
And
that's
it's just
hard.
like I feel so empty.
Yeah.
Like I literally leave and feel empty because I'm like I have like I've had a routine and
Mhm.
like it's gone.
Yeah, it's disrupted.
Yeah, and coming home isn't as bad because usually like not usually, but there were times where, Chewy would be at my cousin's house or something. She'd be like, "Hey, I have Chewy." So I would just like if when I come home, it wasn't as tough. It was
Mm.
still suck coming in and, not being greeted and just or being bombarded in general at the door. It
Mhm.
just, but leaving every day is just starting to finally get easier. It's just so freaking weird. So
Yeah.
weird,
It's
you
definitely
know?
different. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, and
but
is different too because you don't have such a distraction like you did with your mom, like how you had to move and like think of all that kind of stuff immediately, you know?
mhm,
Now you, you're stable and like where you live and like you have,
mhm.
your stuff, your routine and everything. And obviously losing a dog is different than a parent.
Right,
But you don't really have something like that to really distract you. So
at all.
yeah.
Like, I literally have nothing. I'm like, "All right." I mean, I probably could vacuum, but why? There's no extra dog hair that's gonna be added to accumulate, so I
Mm,
don't need to
yeah.
rush to vacuum, like, it's literally just me and I take my shoes off at the door,
Right.
So it's just, like, little things like that, like, my motivation has been on such a decline,
Mhm.
and I didn't realize that, like, I know I would do things because I had a dog,
Mhm.
but I didn't really realize how much that really kept me going, like, dogs do keep you active, and I'm like, I didn't even like I haven't even walked through my condo association in I don't know how long because I don't need to. Like
Right,
I
right.
don't have to walk my dog. Like I forgot what the other side even looks like. It's just like god dog. Like it really has had me jacked up. So like the past 24 hours has been a little rough and a little saddening and it just kind of has been sucky because it's like I really miss like as much as I hated him being on the couch, I miss just letting him on the couch anyways, and he just cuddle up next to me, and I just sit there and pet him and watch my show or play a game on my iPad or something.
Yeah.
It's just like silly shit, but
Yeah, it's tough, and it doesn't matter if it's a couple of weeks after or years after, you're still gonna have
yeah,
those, like, random, like, sad moments and stuff, that's
right.
never gonna go away. Like, time just makes it a little, like, easier, I guess? Like,
It's easier to deal with, but it
y
still hurts the same.
yeah, so time really doesn't change too
Mm-mm.
much. Like, you're not just gonna say, like, "Okay, after, like, 5 years, like, I'm gonna be good. I'm never gonna think about this again." Like, you know?
Right. Yeah. It's just freaking annoying, but I just found it interesting how we both kind of had like a sucky day in a sense of like
Ugh.
remembrance and pain and grief and, you
Yeah.
know,
I was totally
just
fine before that whole conversation too, and that shit took me out for, like, 4 or 5 hours. I was like
girl, you wanna talk about being fine. I had ate 2 damn lobsters yesterday and made this delicious garlic butter sauce to go with it,
Mm.
and I was in here tearing it up. I had put a movie on, like, I was having the time of my life. I finished eating, cleaned up, and just sat there and was like, "Aw, Chewy," and I was like, "What is happening right now?" Like, it hit me out of nowhere.
Yeah, it's crazy how that happens. I mean,
It's
mine
like,
was prompted a little bit, but
yeah, you were triggered. You were triggered, but
I surely was.
it's hard and it's doable to get through, but like I was saying before, we just have to let ourselves feel what we're feeling because when we bottle everything in, it just doesn't fare us well. We're not doing ourselves any justice. We're just holding on to shit and allowing ourselves to be easily triggered or to just fall apart in moments when we don't want to. But I think it's just good that at some point, I'm talking to you. At some point,
Well, call me out, why don't you? Hey, at
we
least I'm self-aware and I'm not hiding the fact that I'm very aware that I bottle things up inside.
step one, and that's awesome. But let's move on to step two.
Oh, I was gonna say, don't I get points for that? I don't want
Yes,
to
you
move
did.
on already.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Step one, check. All right, now step two. Okay,
Wait, I didn't get a bask in step one yet.
you didn't get what?
I didn't get a bask in step one yet.
Step one is to be short lived.
Well, folks, we'll see how this story continues because no promises.
It's gonna go fine. But just keep watching us on YouTube, keep listening to us on your favorite podcast hubs, and you'll know exactly how it goes. We're gonna see both of us as works in progress with many different things in our lives because
Yes.
who living on this earth isn't a work in progress of some sort?
Right. I'm not just gonna sit here and be like, okay, Amanda, we gotta wait to make this podcast until we have all of our shit together. Like, it's just not how it
Shit. Y'all gonna find out the answers with us.
works. Right? And I think it's helpful too because it shows that like, we're not just sitting here making shit up or, not being real to people. Like this is our real life. Like these are our real
Hmm.
emotions that we're going through and we're oddly enough, well, me, oddly enough, I don't want to speak for you, willing to be open and talk about it. Like I could have totally just ignored the whole thing that happened
Right.
today, but I was like, you know what? I even told my mom too, and I was like, thank you because you just gave me a great episode for our next podcast episode.
Well, girl, I'm being open. I mean, I'm allowing myself to be judged by people when I sit here and talk about how much I miss my dog.
Yeah.
Like
I don't think people are gonna judge you
he's
though.
not even a person, but I don't, I honestly don't think people are going to judge me either, but you know, just expressing our vulnerabilities
Yeah, that's a
is
lot.
very open. It is.
I agree.
It is.
But, the daily struggles that we face and you know, like you said, we're just gonna try to figure it out and we'll get through it eventually and see what happens.
That's right.
Um, but but yeah, I mean, I don't really think I have anything else to touch base on that topic or anything. Do you?
Girl, no, that's all I got right now. A lot
I
of weighing on the heart.
right, yeah. But so I guess I will just leave some closing remarks and tell you guys, if you guys haven't seen already, that we dropped our brand new episode. So make sure you guys go check it out. You can find the link both on our Facebook and our Instagram pages. And this I'm super excited about. So instead of telling you guys to like go to Spotify or Google or Apple Podcasts, you can just simply click the link in our bio and you can find all of our episodes on both YouTube and your favorite podcast listening platform all in one place so you don't have to go searching and you can decide if you want to listen or watch.
uh Easy access, the way I love it.
Yeah. Oh, but that is all that I have for today. So thank you guys once again, and we'll talk to you next time.
Toodaloo bugaboos.
Oh my goodness.